So this is the house I'm installing a security system at. One of the reasons why they called us out here is because they have a previous ADT system, older one. It's a pulse system. Someone else wired that up, not me. But yeah, they're not doing cameras today because they don't have internet, but we can get the main security system hooked up today. So walking in, they have a sensor, custom door sensors, a couple motions, a couple glass breaks. Here is their main keypad, kind of in the kitchen right there. Back door sensor there. The motion is here in the living room. And then actually they have the glass breaks kind of down there for the living room. On the back side, they've actually got a camera mounted right there, kind of looking over the back porch area, which is a pretty good spot. And then the other one is looking on the basement door right there in case someone comes in there, or they could tilt it a little bit to kind of look toward the pool. Got to be careful with the pool though, because it could trigger a bunch of motion recordings and you don't want that. Oh, and I locked myself out. So the system that we're going to be putting in today for them is a keypad, key fob. We're going to use a convert module to take over some of the door sensors and one of the windows. Here's our radio. Here is the back plate for the convert module. This is an antenna right here to just help pick up those sensors. There's actually 6 sensors that I'm going to be taking over, so I need one more battery. I like to swap out the batteries in the older sensors just because it's going to go a lot smoother knowing that you've got fresh batteries in there. Box for ADT or AT&T, a couple motions, glass breaks, and then we have a siren. So this house is probably over 2,500 square feet. I don't know if I had to guess. They have a full basement too. It's probably like 3,500, probably upwards of 4,000 to 4,500 though. So one of the things I recommended was a extra siren, so that way they could have it downstairs in their little loft area. So if they're down there listening to music or watching movies, the alarm goes off, they'll have noise down there. Because the new systems, the siren's built inside the keypad, which the keypad is over in the kitchen. Yep. So here's the old control panel. Radio right here. Pretty sure everything's unplugged downstairs. Keys usually right on top. I just wanted to show what the inside quickly looks like. So there's actually not a whole lot going on here. There's power, there's a siren, there's one keypad. The other sensors, there is motion and glass break, but I think those are all wireless too. I really think the only thing that was wired is just the keypad and the siren, of course. Yeah, I don't know. There's something else here, but on the side, you can see what the old system entailed. Front door, interior garage door, back door, exterior garage door, basement door, basement window. That's the one window that we're going to be converting. So all of these door window sensors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm going to be taking over those, and we're going to be replacing the motion and glass break with new sensors, 3 glass, 2 motion right there. We opted not to replace any smoke sensors this time. They'll probably do that when they get the cameras activated. We do have a remote key fob though. That's all old numbers anyway there. So old account number was an H, so it was probably a phone line. Yeah, would have been plugged up probably over here, but it would have been through there. It was probably phone line at one point and then switched over to cellular, and we're obviously going to be using cellular today. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug these backup battery actually, just so I know that's not in there. All right. Okay, so next step is to register the radio, which is right here. Registering usually doesn't take very long. One of the reasons why I'm doing it too is because if I run into anything while hooking this all up, you'll get to see what problems I'm having. I made a zone list right here of the sensors so I know what to label them. So the radio is registered now, and I'm cutting the other half of the screen off there because it has this customer's address on it. So I'm just hitting the next button there, confirming. So the next portion that it's doing, so now we're sending data. So this is, if I've got any signal issues, if I've got poor signal out here, this is the portion where it might lag a little bit or mess up. So that was actually pretty quick. I got the key fob out, but we can see at the bottom here, or maybe if I just put my hand over it there. Okay, so account details is where we'll go. We got 3 out of 6, which is pretty good. So this will get us into alarm.com, where we can actually start adding some of the sensors. So we're gonna do alarm.com. We've gained temporary access to it there. Yep, just gonna hit OK. And then it takes you, and then it takes us into alarm.com where we can actually start adding stuff. So usually we'll get a condition right here. It hasn't fully reported the signal strength on this. It usually has to sit for a minute. So see, we've got red on the communication saying that the radio never responded. It has, it's just not caught up with it yet. All right. So in case you're wondering also what sensors these are Honeywell's 6 sensors. So that's why all these boxes have 6 on them. Fob 2A is the second version of the fob. 6 GBA glass break, 6 PIR passive infrared, 6 siren. That's this guy here. So they communicate on a 2.4 gigahertz frequency. I'm pretty sure that's because they're two-way communication. They can be encrypted, which is really nice. So each of these sensors will be locally tied to the keypad. So you can, other people can reuse these sensors or use these on a different system, but you have to go into alarm.com and delete them, untie them from the keypad itself before you can reuse them. It's like another security measure, which is really cool. But on here, so this customer does not have internet at the house. So we're going to go into our communication. We're going to go into dual path communication, and we're going to turn off dual path until turn cell only on. Okay, so the command's going to be sent to the panel, which is good. We can go back. And the next thing I'm going to do is go peripherals. We're going to learn in that key fob, and then we're going to learn in, we're going to try to learn in the doors first, and then I'll try to do these sensors here. But we'll get the key fob, begin learn mode. So that's going to spin. This is going to go into standby mode, or busy. There we go, so it's ready to go. Take your key fob, push and hold those 2 buttons till it blinks. Should pop up on that list. Now I've got the noise turned off on the keypad, so we won't actually hear anything. so that way it's not beeping at me. But our key fob should pop up on that screen there. There we go. It's a slow process. There it is. There's the key fob. And that number is just the number. It's the last like 6 digits. A5F70, AA5F70. Exit and edit. Okay. There we go. Save changes. And it's going to take us back to our screen. So you noticed broadband is turned off and our key fob is learned in. So I'm going to swap the batteries on some of those doors and then we'll get those learned in. Just wanted to show you real quick down in the basement. Here's where the old hookup was. So this was ADT Pulse. And you had to have a gateway like this when you had a power series hardwired system like that, connecting out everything together. So this is going up into that box that was in the closet. Main transformer for the system. I'm going to be taking that out, combining this for our keypad. Here's one of the outdoor cameras. This is power for the gateway, and this looks like a power line adapter, one of those TP links. But I don't think they're supposed to be plugged into any adapters like that. I think they're supposed to be plugged directly into the outlet. But this guy made it work, so good job to him. So real quick before I learn them in, here's the old batteries. Here's the new batteries. Here's the sensors that were already in the house. They have 2 windows down in their basement that for some reason weren't covered with the original system. Might have just been because of money or whatever, I don't know. But I had 2 extra ones laying in my car, so I'm going to hook up those 2 windows down in the basement. Also, I would clean out these things because every once in a while, especially if they're real old, these ones aren't even that bad. You get bugs in them, so I'll definitely clean those out. But you can tell just by the color of them that they're not even really that old. But I wanted to show you on these, so you can tell with batteries. So these are still good till about 2022. Which isn't bad, but I mean, that's only 1 year, so I can leave all the batteries in, and then in 1 year, they'll get low and start causing issues with the system. So I always like to place new batteries in them, because look, these ones are all good till 2030. So they'll get a full, well, it used to be 10 years, but now it's 9 years. So they'll get a good 9 years, you know, out of these batteries. And then here's the 2 I had from the sensors from mine. So this one is 2009. That one don't even work probably. And this one, I don't know what this one was. Oh, 324. So this one is still good too. But I mean, you might as well just replace them all so that way they get brand new life within the batteries. Yeah. One other thing too are these sensors here. Some of the parts inside of it. So there's the reed switch right there. That's the side where the magnet goes. So some sensors have 2 reed switches, one on the side, one on the top, so you can orientate it differently. This one the magnet has to go on the side. But these little terminal screws here, you could actually hardwire a recess sensor into it. So sometimes you'll have a recess sensor in the frame of the door, and then it'll be wired into a sensor like this, you know, just on the other side of the frame with it drilled through there. Or you could take it down to the hardwired where all the wires are, and you could wire in the door window sensors down in the control panel into this, and then have these all located by the control panel. So it's kind of like converting the hardwired into wireless without using a hardwired translator device. All right. So I've hung up most of the sensors back up on the doors and the windows. I left a couple of them here just to see, to make sure that the translator is set to the right one to pick these up. So we're going to go into sensors, and of course I'm signed out. We'll log back in real quick here. Should take just a second. Okay. Equipment sensors. Add sensors. Add a sensor. Begin learn mode. So the keypad's gonna switch over. There we go. Sometimes those little translator chips are programmed backwards. These are Honeywell 5800 series, and I've got it on the right setting, but sometimes you've got to flip it, so we'll see. Okay, so to learn in, or to take over a sensor, you have to trip it twice, so it's ready, and all of them have to be closed. So we're just mimicking a door or window opening, and we're doing that motion twice. Sometimes you have to do it more, but we'll see if it just pops up like that. Make sure I got the magnet on the right side, yeah. Okay, so far nothing happening. So next thing I want to do is, because normally it should pop up pretty quick, but next thing I want to do is I'm going to trip it a bunch of times, just over and over. And we'll just see. If we can get it to pop in. Alright, so that should be more than enough. So if it doesn't pop up there, then the next step would be to flip that dial on the translator convert module to the other side, see if we can get it to work. Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. Because we know it's not batteries, because I just replaced all the batteries. Should be fine. So this is what I'm talking about right here. So we're using an ADT all-in-one panel. So it's supposed to be set to 0, which it's on 0, but it's not working. So what I've found is that if I flip it to 5 and then try again, it magically works. So let's try that. It's on 5 now. Just take a little screwdriver, kind of turn it. We're gonna pop it in and see what we get. Okay, system check is good. We're gonna go into equipment. Now let's try this again. We're gonna do sensors. Add a sensor. Begin learn mode. Okay, so far so good. Panel's communicating. Looks like alarm.com is ready. So we'll try the old 1, 2. 1, 2. See if she pops up. Wow, imagine that. Popped up. Cool, so that one popped up. I guess what I'll do is I'll do this one here as well, and then I'll do the doors. I'll just have to rearrange my list here when I'm actually labeling everything. And there's the second one. Okay, so I'm going to learn in all the doors, get the rest of these sensors learned in, rename everything, and send some signals. So alarm.com will tell you which ones are unknown. These are the takeover ones. But these are all. So if I would have taken over the old motion and glass break, they would have learned in there, but I typically don't like using the older motion and glass break. They use more batteries. I don't know, just I don't like doing it. I like doing the newer ones. But anyway, you can specify if it was door, window, motion, temperature, glass break, carbon, whatever. But all the ones that I took over here are door, window. So we're going to hit door, window on all those. So when you take over a sensor or just an older sensor, alarm.com sometimes doesn't know what it is. We specified it's a door window sensor, but now you actually have to set the parameters on it for how it's going to alarm, or what type of zone it's going to report as. So it automatically shows up as a non-reporting zone, but we want to change that. This is a window. This is basement window 2. So we want to put that as an instant. So the doors will be a delay, the windows will be a instant perimeter. So if it opens, the alarm will trigger right away. So I'm just going to fix the rest of them. So we've got one issue here. Basement window 3, for some reason, system keeps thinking it's opening, but it's not. See if it'll do it again. It was doing it. Yeah, there we go. So fault basement window 3. So that shows up whenever a sensor opens, but I didn't touch it. It's closed, but the system thinks it's open. So if I open up basement window 2 here, basement window 2 fault, okay. But I close it, we're good to go. It just said basement window 3. I don't know. Might just have to swap it with a different one. Because that'll definitely set off the alarm. So we're just checking all of our alarms, keypad panics, everything came through just fine. On alarm.com we can check which alarms actually tripped. So we set everything off. For some reason this one kept tripping. I had one more in my car. I tried to get this one to enroll, but for some reason it wouldn't as well. So this one works fine though, so I'll be putting that one on a window downstairs. But we just have one missing. That's all right because it was just extra anyway. Just something nice I was trying to do for him. Everything else is good to go though. Another reason why should just use new sensors, not the old ones, because we just never know when they're just gonna give out. And in the control panel here, I actually wanted to show, so I got the keypad and the AC power wires dolphin clipped together so that way I can run the power to the new keypad, because we don't use these control boxes like this anymore, or at least for the wireless system. The keypad that I'm working with doesn't need this. And these, typically this is where a phone line would go, but I realized this is actually, when you have a cellular radio like this, the wire from here is actually coming in to here and feeding this. So this is the ring and tip portion. If this was a phone line, you would actually have 4 of the wires. So I've done a couple of the Verizon, they're called TG4 radios, and I remember that's how I had to hook it up. So it's kind of similar there. We don't use these, at least I don't use these, because these are 3G radios. We typically do the LTE radios, and they're so small now they just fit right inside the keypad. Yeah. Alright, so everything is up. Just except the keypad. Before I hang the keypad up, I'm going to plug back in our siren and our speaker. Gonna put the battery cover back on and get it on the wall and just kind of make sure everything's working. I tried getting that one sensor in one last time, but it wouldn't go in. So unfortunate, but it happens sometimes. These existing sensors are kind of hit or miss if they're gonna work or not. So yeah. So one thing we have here is that this keypad with this little phone jack there, it's actually not even gonna fit. I mean, I could put it there, but that's just not gonna, that would be stupid. So I'm gonna unscrew this a little bit. I'm gonna unscrew this so I can fit the keypad there, and I don't know, see what happens with that. They likely don't need this, so I'll double check with them and see what's going on. But keypad's going there. So the solution here is I just moved it over a little bit. I've got that level, but these are just phone wires, I'm pretty sure. So the one that I had at my house in my kitchen, I covered it up with a blank plate, and they can do something similar like that, and that'll fit kind of there without making this, you know, like be really raised up or bent at all, and just kind of cover that up with a blank faceplate, or they could cover it up with something else that, you know, maybe a recessed one of those phone jacks in the middle there. It would still fit. You just got to have one that doesn't stick out on the wall like that. So that's what we're going to do there. So at first the keypad didn't turn on, and I was wondering why. So this is again how they had the other stuff all plugged up. I might rearrange this, but anyway, check the wires on it, make sure it was right. The right wires were there. It's good in the box as well. So I was thinking, okay, well, it could be power. Most of the time it's not power, but I do have one of these things that you can quickly test it with, you know. So I plugged it in the first time and it didn't come on though. So that told me that it wasn't getting power. I tested a few of these other outlets in here and nothing else was working. So I went over to the breaker box that they have here, just to double check, see what was going on. And there was basement plugs and lights. It was tripped. So I just tripped it back, flipped it back the other way, and boom. Now we'll go check, make sure we got power. There we go, we got power now. So we're good. Sweet. And we got sound.